The story of David and Goliath is extra popular. It became the foundation for many sermons. So, can we extract something new? Let's try today connect the biblical text to the place where those events took place, and also with cultural background, religious background, and we will be able to see new details of this well-known story. So, why the Philistines fought with the Israelites? What was the reason for the invasions? Because the Philistines already have all needed for life. The international trading route connecting Egypt and Mesopotamia, sea trade, vast fields with sedimental soils. So why they clashed with Israel again and again? So the reason of the constant clashes were raids. So the Philistines raided Israel at least twice a year. During the May and June, when there's a time of harvest for barley and wheat, they invaded this land. And second time, it was autumn time, when grapes and pomegranates, dates, figs were harvested in our country. So they just entered the territory and raided the harvested food from the Israelites. One of the main routes of the Philistine invasion became the Elah Valley. Let's see its route. So Elah Valley drains the city of Hebron and also area of Bethlehem and comes down to the Mediterranean coast. And the Elah Valley passes Gath and also Ashdod to the Philistine city. So this valley was a very flat route for the Philistines, straight inland, and they could go either or to the south or to the north and invade the country. And remember that the Philistines, they had a lot of chariots, so they needed flat area for the horses, for the chariots. And this valley became main route for the Philistine attacks of Israel. So the city of Gath became a gathering point for 5 Philistine armies, and because it is located along the valley, and this is the closest to the border with the Israelites. And also, as you can see, all these high hills used to be a city. And in fact, that Gath was the second largest city in Canaan, could host a lot of people, and a lot of horses could stay here. Also, the Elah Valley would provide enough water for animals and for people. Such example of gathering point we also can meet in the Bible in the 1 Samuel 28, where another war against Israel was launched. It's written, "Now the Philistines gathered together all their armies to Aphek, while the Israelites were camping by the spring which is in Israel." So, at Gath, 5 armies would gather together and they will launch their attacks to Israel. So the tactics of the Philistines was very efficient, and in fact they almost enslaved the Israelites. Let's read several passages from the Bible to see what really happened during that time. So 1 Samuel 4:9 reads, "Take courage, be a man, O Philistines, or you will become slaves to the Hebrew as they have been slaves to you." So you see that they became slaves. And another passage is going to be from 1 Samuel 13:5. "Now the Philistines assembled to fight with Israelites, 30,000 chariots, 6,000 horsemen, and people like the sand which is on the seashore in abundance. And they came up and camped in Michmash, east of Beth Aven." Where is it? It's northeast of Jerusalem. "When the men of Israel saw that they were in a strait, for the people were hard pressed, then the people hide themselves in caves, in thickets, in cliffs, in cellars, and in pits. Also some of the Hebrew crossed the Jordan into the land of Gad and Gilead, But as for Saul, he was still in Gilgal. So it means that the Israelites already crossed Jordan River back to the area from which they once upon the time invaded to Canaan and conquered that. So the Philistines made literally life of the Jewish people in this land impossible. Such a desperate situation forced the Israelites to demand a king who would unify them and lead in the battles against such a dangerous enemy. So indeed, King Saul became first king and very successful. We know that he failed as a worshipper, but as a king, he did a lot for Israel. So the Philistines would gather here, approach to the border with Israel as written. Now the Philistines gathered their armies for battle. And they were gathered in Socoh, which belongs to Judah, and they camped between Socoh and Azekah in Ephes Damim. So let's follow the Philistines and their armies along the Elah Valley straight to the battlefield. To explain the situation, I'm going to use this model, which shows the coastal plain with 5 Philistine cities. They are marked with pink color. This is Gath, where we started, so it was gathering point for all the armies. And this blue line is the riverbed of Elah stream. So now we are located over here on Azekah. Upper portion is Bethlehem and Hebron. Southwards is going to be Beersheba. Northward, Jerusalem, Bethel and Shechem. So you see, this is the main way of the invasion. So somewhere in the middle between the Philistine and the Israelite sides, they clashed. So let's read from 1 Samuel 17. Now the Philistines gathered their armies for battle, and they were gathered at Socoh, which belongs to Judah, and they camped between Socoh and Azekah in Ephes Damim. Saul and the men of Israel were gathered and camped in the valley of Elah and drew up in battle array to encounter the Philistines. The Philistines stood on the mountain on one side, while Israel stood on the mountain on the other side, with the valley between them. So let's see closer. These 3 points are Azekah, Socoh, and Ephes Damim. So this is 3 camps of the Philistines. They invaded Socoh, which belonged to Judah, which means they crossed the border which existed during that time and invaded Socoh. The main camp was in Ephes Damim, and the 3rd camp here in Azekah, where we're located. So such a method was a typical method of war during that time. 3 camps. Such stories you can read in the story of battles of Abraham, battles of Gideon, and also David later would use the same tactics. Such location allowed the front attack and also side flank assaults. The Judean city Socoh used to be a Canaanite city which was taken by army of Joshua. It was not heavily fortified, so the Philistines could easily enter that and stay there. Ephes Damim was a place to where most likely Jewish people came to sharpen their agriculture tools, because no blacksmith was allowed by the Philistines in the land of Israel. The Philistines afraid that Jewish would create a military weapon. And this place, Azekah, used to be also a Canaanite city where Jewish people invaded, led by Joshua, stayed for a while, and then abandoned the place. So this high hill, which dominates over the valley, became an observation point toward the Philistines to warn the Israel if army of the invaders would approach. So it was a border between the Philistine territory and between the territory of the Israelites. Now, the Israelites stood on this hill, which is now behind of me, where a wonderful fortress called Sha'araim was built by King Saul. Such a location did not allow the Philistines to approach, to advance inland. So let's see in details why. So why it was strategically correct to put a fortress here. So if the Philistines would decide to go deeper inland, so the Jewish troops from the mountains would attack them from the front, and King Saul with his army would attack from the rear. So it would be kind of trap. So putting one fortress here, King Saul prevented future advance of the armies. So from another side, King Saul could not attack the camps of the Philistines, because if he would attack the Ephes Damim, he would got two flank assaults. From another side, if he would try to climb Azekah, his side would be open to attackers, and the same if he would try to liberate Soho, the same he would got a flank attack. Two armies got into a stalemate situation where nobody could move efficiently without risking their lives. So technically King Saul could wait here for a long time until rainy season, and the Philistines would have to return back with empty hands. So they also realized that. That's why they sent from the Ephes Damim, from the main camp, Goliath to assault, to humiliate, and to provoke the Israelites for battle. So he came to the valley and shouted and cursed them, hoping that one day they will attack him and they would be caught in the valley. Who knows what have been the end of the situation if David had not come to the stage.